vaccinated to be part of the select few inner circle group at the draft. So this is one of the first polls that we saw that came out that was indicating they're preparing us. They want to see how accepting we're going to be of their little program, and it's all out there. March 24th, Miami Heat to open vaccinated-only sections for fans on April the 1st. Another Cleveland.com, this is on page 20, Tom. Should retailers like Walmart and mall shops be allowed to require proof of vaccination before customers enter? I mean, this is in our backyard, you guys. This is in our backyard. And what was even more disturbing than the poll was that some people commenting were like, yes, we're going to feel so safe. I mean, it's really scary that the minority of awake people that are still fighting for freedom, we have to stand the tallest that we have ever stood, because this is it. Like, this is the Alamo, you guys. If we don't stand now, it's over. The time to be shy is over. The people that told me, oh, I don't want to fight the mask thing, let's do it, but if they ever try to do the vaccine, they will try to do the vaccine. I told them from the very beginning, from day one. And here we are. And everybody that bowed to the mask is now going to bow to the vaccine. And they already know that you will do it. So we have to stop. We have to dig our feet into the ground and say, no more. This is my body. This is the inside of my body. This is medical grade. I will call it what it is, because that is what it is. If you prove your religious belief, it's totally unconstitutional, but let's face it, nobody cares about the Constitution anymore. They've shredded it. So this idea that we have all these rights, they're great. They're theoretical rights that we have slowly let fade away. So now we're going to have to say, look, this is what we're not going to take anymore. So these kids are going to be denied, many of them, Black Americans through the federal government. What we are going to do is use your tax dollars to develop all the technology so that your employers and your business owners can screw you over and do a passport. Yay! Our tax dollars work. Okay, it's disgusting, and he's out in the open with it. So I mean, you know, it's not like you have to try hard. In plain sight, we are regressing as a free nation into segregation, into discrimination, and this is all in the midst of Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. And I'm like, wake up, people! Like, this is the next civil rights movement. The vaccine and the masks. This is all the next civil rights movement. So. Everyone get prepared. Put your former Clinton advisor. Mandatory vaccine passport could lead to the end of human liberty in the West. I mean, that's a former Clinton advisor. If there's a Clinton advisor that's concerned, we should be really afraid. People are bowing to science. People are making science their God. Literally making science their God now. And that's, right, well, science, but I mean, that is where we are. And so I think that's why, you know, when I go to these meetings and stuff, we always open in prayer and everything, is because the Christians are starting to come together, and I think we're actually going to witness persecution of Christians from the scientific community. I think we all thought it was going to be, we're witnessing for Jesus, and then they come cut our head off. No, I think it's going to be that we don't bow to the God of science. And so they will persecute us in a way that's socially acceptable, and being an anti-vaxxer, an anti-masker, somebody that doesn't mind going around and getting everyone sick. We're out to kill everybody. We're terrible people. Putting that stigma of it and putting it on Christians and conservatives to basically get everyone to turn against us. I mean, that's what this is all coming down to. Yeah, 19, Event 201. It was the Gates Foundation. We know they have really great intentions. And it was Johns Hopkins University of Public Health, and then World Economic Forum. Okay, so the World Economic Forum, you don't know who they are. They're the people that want you to eat synthetic meat to save the planet. They don't want you to own anything. If you're happy about it, they're going to have everything delivered by drone. You're not going to drive your own car. The leader of China said the same thing. We're going to have cars that will run on their own eventually. It won't even be safe for you to have a license.
Do you know who one of the originators?
A.G. Yost calls for action to be taken against the sale of fake vaccination cards. It's so funny because about 10 years ago I said, the next black market will be vaccine, will be like your vaccine card, your vaccine status, right? And here we are. People are sending me messages, oh, on Etsy, I can get cards. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, they're going to find a way. They always do. What are they, watermark it to find where it went to come get, I mean, we can't keep bowing. You don't just go get your fake vaccine card and hope for the best. You stand up and you say, no, I'm not taking this. I'm going to fight for my right. When we do vote people in, we actually get them in so that we can change the pattern. We have gotten ourselves in a rut, and we can't pull out of it until we elect better people. But in the interim, okay, we have to do something to protect ourselves from what is coming, and this is coming at very, very fast speeds. I mean, very fast.
That's where we
States. How long before they want to check your card in your vehicle as you cross state lines? When are we going to get to checkpoints? How far away are checkpoints? I don't know. I mean, this has all happened since October. How far are checkpoints? Is it 2 months from now? Is it 3? I don't know. A law into place to protect us, to be able to have vaccine choice. We're going to have to start pulling ourselves basically off the grid. I mean, that is the reality. And as Christians, those that are Christians and have read the Bible, we know what's going to happen in the end, okay? There is no happy, the Ohioans, the Liberty group, they saved the day. Like, that's not in Revelations, okay? It's going to get nasty. So right now, we just have to pave the way to protect ourselves as long as we can. HB 248, you expect everyone to call your legislator and say, please move this bill forward at the speed of light as quickly as this vaccine passport nonsense is coming. So what the bill does, I mentioned it earlier, you can exempt yourself from any employer, anybody, any public entity, any school for reasons of conscience, which means whatever your belief is. I think it's going to hurt me. I don't see the science behind it. I'm not going to do it. Religious beliefs, medical reasons, or you've already had it. I'm already naturally immune. I'm not going to take a vaccine with risk when I've already had COVID. And they even say if you have the early on strain, you're actually highly protected for the other strains. So that's actually good if you've already had COVID. Now, some people were worried, oh my gosh, I have to exempt myself. Like, this is a scary thing. I don't want to have to tell anybody that I'm exempt. Here's the thing. They're already doing mandates. Healthcare workers have been dealing with this for 9 years. They're just going to implement it on everyone now. So unless we have something that says, I can say no to you, or I can say no to you, you don't have protection. This doesn't condone mandatory vaccines. Mandatory vaccines are already here for whoever wants to use them, and no one's stopping them. This bill says you can't make me do it. You can't make me do it, and you can't discriminate against me. So you can give it to them in verbal or written form. Now, there might be a reason you want to do written form, and I'll give you an example. If you are at schools, definitely, they have a lot of off-site clinics where they'll take your kid to get them care, and this is maybe this happens more in poor communities or disadvantaged communities where parents are working, they can't take their child to the doctor, so they utilize school hours to get them to the doctor. Well, if you think I'm leaving my child unattended at school when they take them to medical clinics without something documented on my vaccine wishes, that's a problem. I would not want verbal in that case. I would want that documented. If I have a grandma in a nursing home, and the nursing home wants to vaccinate everybody that's there, do I want my word to be remembered by some nurse that was on shift one night? No. I want that written down as a chart. I want that on the front page that I don't want my grandma vaccinated for Howard
I'm just afraid DeWine might veto that.
DeWine's going to veto it. Just get over it. DeWine's going to veto anything that does anything for anybody. So what do you have to do? Just keep climbing up your legislator's butt and tell them I need you to veto this override this veto. The other way around. For verbal, like obviously a piece of verbal, like I'm going into Trader Joe's. Am I going to write my, no, I'm going to say, we need to see your card, ma'am. We're a privately owned business, and we can't let you in unless you're vaccinated. And I will say, according to ORC, blah, 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 I actually have a reasons of conscious exemption, thank you, and then you walk in. They have to accept your exemption in whatever form you give it. So if you give it to your boss because you want it in your chart, because later when you're doing great work and your review comes and you are outperforming all your colleagues, but you don't get a raise or you get fired, you have an exemption on file. And you can say, here's my work. Here are my colleagues. I just got fired. There's no other reason other than I have an exemption on file. That's a perfect example of why you want to have documented proof, okay? You don't want to just tell your boss. But when you go shopping, of course you're just going to tell them you're going to walk in.
So the key line, I think, which I have read, it's only a 4-page bill, and it's double spaced, so it's pretty easy to read. But it says, person includes an individual, corporation, business trust, estate trust, partnership, and association. So, and then it talks about political subdivisions below that. Is that?
That's everybody.
That's everybody. So that includes colleges, it includes every business, it includes everything.
It's everybody. It's all entities operating in the state of Ohio. all entities. Okay, so this means your kids that are in school, this is going over top of current vaccine exemption law in school. Okay, this now means that you can walk into your child's school. Like I said, I wouldn't do it, just give verbal, but you can. They also, another portion of the bill says they have to tell you that you have the right to take an exemption. Half of the problem with our schools right now is parents believe they have no choice. They are told, according to ORC 33.76, whatever, it's a really long one, your child has to have A, B, C, D vaccines. Okay? Parents don't know. You think they're popping open the revised code to see if their health department or their principal is not telling them the truth, their school nurse? No, they just cited a law. Obviously, it's a thing. I gotta do it, right? So this bill says they have to notify you. Not only do they have to notify you, they have to notify you in the same manner, frequency, timing, and font. That means they can't send you an email today that says, you have to take these shots or you're getting kicked out of school tomorrow, and then 3 days later they send an email with a bunch of stuff, and at the bottom there's a little asterisk, vaccine exemptions are available. Right? They can't do that. Now they're going to say, these are mandated. These are your exemption rates. Okay, do you see why this scares the powers that be? Because education and knowing you have a right means you might exercise it. And that's terrifying to them. They don't want you to know what your rights are. So the bill gives us that, and again, that's going to be helpful for anybody in the workplace that doesn't know that, hey, I can say no to my boss. I can have if for religious reasons I'm not going to do this. I can tell my boss, and he can't like put me in a different section. He can't segregate me. He can't force me to wear a mask when everybody else is out of their masks now. I mean, this is assuming anyone's ever out of their masks. They can't label me. A lot of healthcare workers have dealt with. They have to wear a mask for 5 or 6 months because they didn't take the shot, right? They have a religious exemption, which they had to go prove, which, by the way, this bill says, yeah, I'm a flu fighter. And then you're sitting next to your colleague who's in a mask, who's totally fine, not sick. Oh my gosh, they're probably sick. I don't remember what was on it. Savannah probably remembers. Like, the flu fighter buttons, did they have those at your work?
We didn't have them.
Okay. Well, some of the places do. So I mean, talk about labeling. I mean, and virtue signaling. That's been going on. This is old school. It's been going on a long time. They're just now using it on the general public. It's working, unfortunately. The more bedazzled your muzzle is, the better, right? Have your friend get one too. Get matching BFF muzzles. It'd be great. So with this bill, you don't have to give any additional proof. Currently, healthcare employees have to go sit in a board meeting, oftentimes with people who are just, I mean, they're not even medical professionals or anything. They're just sitting there and they have to prove their religion for an hour with the legal team at their hospital to try to get an exemption. No more of that. This bill says, this is my exemption. You have to take it the way I gave it to you. This is what it is. That's it. I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to have my pastor come sit down in here and have a chat with you about why I'm not doing it. This is my belief, and it's going to be respected. Okay, so that's in the bill. It also says the entity cannot make your exemption status public. Everybody is worried about a registry. Yes, I'm worried about registry too. The fact that it says that they can't make your information public gives you at least that protection of it's not going to get passed all around. We're probably going to make some minor changes in the bill to tighten up the discriminatory section and also maybe make it a little bit more clear on the privacy part, just to make sure that we're fully covered. But we have a very good start with this bill. The discrimination section says they can't discriminate against you financially or socially. Like I said, no, they can't mask you. We're going to add, I think, testing to that too, like over testing. Some places right now they are making the nurses test daily for COVID. Oh, you want to refuse the vaccine? That's fine. You're going to drive 3 to 4 miles up the road here every day and get a COVID test. There's no science is a moot point. Science only pertains when it helps move the narrative forward. And then, of course, no segregation, which is a huge thing. And I foresee this. They would start this in schools too, which is why it was so important that the bill cover schools, even though we had exemption rights in the schools, is because Mary Jane didn't get her shot and Jimmy didn't get his. We're going to put them in a special cubicle area with their masks, and the other kids will have their station. I mean, this is where it will go, hands down. And not only will it go there, there will be some people applauding it like that.
Oh yeah.
And so we have to have something in place for unfortunately, the minority, because maybe 30 or 40% of us at this point are still not drinking the Kool-Aid and I don't want to do this, and we need protection for that minority of people. Even though it's a big minority, it's still a minority.
And things are still being added.
We're going to make some amendments to it, but
So
there's nobody else to fight for you, right? I mean, I can talk till I'm blue in the face to legislators, but if I don't have you guys to back me up, it doesn't mean anything. We need the numbers. We need lots and lots of calls. And
Are you giving us?
site at ohioamf.org. Sign up for our mailing list. We'll put out calls to action in our mailing list. And Zuckerberg can't get to your email. So, and then we give you everything. We tell you the name, the phone number, the email address. We even give you a script if you're going to call in, or an example letter that you can tweak and make your own. If you have
So we'll also put together the calls to action. We'll put them out as Free Ohio Now and the Lake County Liberty Coalition.
okay.
And so we can keep the information flowing, so that this is after the election integrity, this is number 2 on the list.
So you get the phone numbers and put it on the.
I will.
Yeah, well, I'll give him the entire call to action, and you can just share the whole shebang and pass it out to everyone you know, all of your friends and family. The more people that call in, the harder it's going to be for leadership to tuck this in their back pocket. Because I already know they're getting more calls on this than they did for SB 22